And for this video, we're in Cody, Wyoming, at a place called Old Trail Town. On this site in 1895, William Buffalo Bill Cody laid out the original town site of Cody, Wyoming, which is named in his honor. Today, Old Trail Town preserves the lifestyle and the history of the frontier west through a rare collection of authentic structures and furnishings. From remote locations in Wyoming and Montana, these historic buildings were carefully disassembled, moved, and reassembled here at Old Trail Town by the Western historian Bob Edgar and his friends. Located here are thousands of artifacts of the Old West and the grave sites of several figures, among which is Johnston, portrayed by Robert Redford in the picture Jeremiah Johnston. His grave is here, and there's several other people's graves here in the back lot. There are also original cabins used by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and a Wyoming saloon which was frequented quite often by Cassidy and his hole-in-the-wall gang. On this site is the log cabin of Curly, a Crow Indian Army scout who helped guide George Custer and the 7th Cavalry to the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. Old Trail Town exists today as a memorial to the unique American experience known throughout the world as the Old West. It's the Old West! Wow, little kids doing their lasso. Woo!
Inside the visitor center. I guess it used to be a general store from 1900 up there where they built the dam.
This is the Taggart Carpentry Shop from 1901.
He was a Mormon pioneer. He came to the Bighorn Basin by wagon train in 1900.
And this is Curly's cabin. Curly was an Indian scout for General Custer at the Battle of Bighorn, the Battle of Little Bighorn, on June 25th. The cabin was built near Crow, Montana, about 1885. Not sure why they called him Curly. His hair was in braids. Although the Indians run around with no moccasins on sometimes, maybe his toenails were curly. Custer was Curly's boss. I sure wouldn't hang a picture of my boss on my bedroom wall.
It just twists.
And next on the tour is the Morrison Cabin, which was built at the foot of the Copper Mountain east of Shoshone, Wyoming, back in 1884 by Luther Morrison. The Morrisons brought some of the very first sheep into central Wyoming back in 1882. However, Mr. Morrison first came out west back in 1853 on a wagon train on the original Oregon Trail. In this cabin, they don't know who it belonged to, except they were homesteaders that built this thing on Monument Hill north of Cody.
Two-headed cat.
In about 1900.
That cat.
And this cabin was built by Jim White and Oliver Hanna back in 1880. They were buffalo hunters. They built this cabin at Shell Creek, Wyoming, at the hunting camp of Jim White. But Jim White was murdered in the camp in late October 1880, and then the cabin was then used by a man named Al Kirshner when he homesteaded the property back in 1889. And next is the Coffin School. This cabin was built at the Bar W Ranch on the Wood River west of the Meteetsee, hard to pronounce this stuff, Meteetsee in 1884. It was used as a school for several years. It got its name from the tragic death of Alfred Nauer, who died of gangrene in his cabin in 1885. He chopped his leg half off when he was chopping wood. This is the first store that was built in Shell, Wyoming in 1892, and it's called the Shell Store. Little coffee grinder.
Stomach bitters.
More coffee.
Oh, coffee grinder.
The reason they needed them stomach bitters is they drank so much damn coffee.
Hams and bacon. Some old logs. George Washington cut plug tobacco. This old time general store.
So one of the first settlements in the Bighorn Basin in Wyoming back in 1885 was a town called Bonanza. This is the Bonanza post office. Keep your eye out for Hassan.
How do you sit so still?
Okay, great way to end part one. Here's the hole-in-the-wall cabin where Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and a bunch of other outlaws, the famous hole-in-the-wall gang. The hole-in-the-wall gang, not because they peep through holes in the wall at women or nothing like that, although they may have. It's because the cabin was built in wall country west of KC, Wyoming, and back in 1883.
This guy's still building.
Yeah, you come in and look around. This is still solid, it's just top board is wearing out. Gotta put a new one in.
We drove by a hole in the wall, but I didn't actually drive up there because you guys took the cabin.
Well, I guess originally there was 5 cabins there.
Was there?
Somebody told me. I don't know what's left there, but anyway. This is one of them.
Who's got the winning hand there? See the old cars didn't have no numbers on them.
I know it. You had to just be able to recognize it, you know.
There they are.
After a while.
There's the Sundance Kid and
You
Butch
didn't
Cassidy.
I didn't even look if either one of them was a dead man's hand or not.
If you were wanted, would you hang your poster on your wall? So the the Sundance Kid was worth the most, and then Butch Cassidy. Now you get 7,500, you get the whole bunch. They must have been a wild bunch. Look at the size of that moonshine jug.